Good afternoon all. Miguel, Aleixo from BRIK BC Projects, our weekly show of what is real estate tokenization. Another week, just clicked on midday here in Australia. Just playing a great song while I got myself sorted out with the pinned tweets and so forth. A great song that we play weekly on our opening, Jamming in GM from the Lobster Machine. It's actually by musician SOS on side, based out of New York. Thank you, sir, for allowing us to play your great music pieces, as you've got plenty of variety in terms of in your toolbox in the different styles, and that's just one that we always like to play on our weekly show of what is real estate tokenization. Yeah, look, in terms of this week, probably sort of reflecting on the week before we get stuck in today's topic about the challenges of traditional real estate given these market conditions. So we just sort of speak sort of at high level, and some of the people that are friends, contacts, in terms of chatting during the week, sort of provided a bit of content given the subject, and I'll share that on our show today. So it is an open mic, so anybody can join in the conversation so around the topic of around the terms of the challenge of traditional real estate, and obviously we all know that in terms of this is why we're here, providing awareness in terms of how tokenized real estate can provide a solution, especially for young people that are trying to enter the real estate market, and also people in general, really, from anywhere in the world who are trying to start their journey in real estate. But yeah, probably just reflecting on the week, as I said, sort of looking, put some pinned tweets up here in terms of the first one being around today's topics, in terms of the challenges. So also I'll speak to some of those points on the pinned tweet there. There is a sort of a sequence of them. The second one there, yeah, just had a great chat with Mark Fiddleman from Smart Blocks, and also he also has his YouTube channel, Kryptonized, and so we had a chat. Was actually put up on his YouTube channel. There's a link there to it, the conversation, just talking in general in terms of both on a developer's perspective and also from a investor's perspective around tokenized real estate. So it was a good chat with Mark. Thank you, Mark, for doing that and continue to educate around tokenized assets and tokenized real estate in particular on the content you put out there. So shout out to Mark. The second pin tweet there. Oh yes, in last night here in Australia, I do enjoy the rugby league. I do enjoy all sports, quite a few sports, and rugby league, which is football here in Australia, one of the codes of football here in Australia. So yesterday we had our annual series, second game of the series that we have every year this time of year, the State of Origin. It's a competition between the two states, our state of Queensland and the state of New South Wales. So yesterday was the second game. We did win game one, and yesterday was game two at home here, and we actually won game two. So a great win. That means we've won the series because it's always a matter of 3 games. So the next game, the third game, will be a dead rubber, which will be in New South Wales in a few weeks. So, congratulations to the boys, the Queensland team who dug deep and in the end ended up being a 32-6 scoreline. So there's a pin tweet there. For some of you who don't know rugby league, check it out. If you're used to American football, NFL, think of NFL without any pads or helmet. Players just going at each other with actually no padding. So check it out. It is insane, but the boys are used to copying the hard knocks. That's what they do. So go check it out. So again, great win for the guys. So I showed that excitement. That's pretty much in terms of reflecting on the week that I wanted to mention. Probably just get stuck into today's session. Again, I'm Miguel Aleixo. I'm the Manager Director and Co-Founder of BRIK BC Projects. We tokenize real estate properties, residential luxury investment properties here in Australia, particularly focusing in Brisbane Gold Coast. I host this show weekly. What is real estate tokenization? It's about providing awareness and education and content around in terms of what is happening in our industry, playing our part in terms of also we always also try to have some guest speakers around the topics. But today it is open mic. In terms of tokenized real estate, this session is being recorded, so if you haven't had a chance to join us live, it is being recorded. But just simply in terms of tokenized real estate, just basically having a real estate property and basically fractionalizing that into pieces, and then having anybody can actually own a piece of that fraction of that property. So then you've got the exposure to the benefits of in terms of that property, those fractions, those what we call tokens. It's recorded on a blockchain, a public ledger, and so again, once it's recorded on a ledger, any future buys and sells of those tokens are recorded on the chain and can't be amended, can't be deleted. It's once it's on there on the public chain ledger. It cannot be changed. So basically, it's a new way in terms of how people can actually be exposed to real estate and be able to access any properties around the world. Obviously, myself and my colleagues who are doing it around the world, the ability somebody to build a portfolio by having exposure to different properties around the world and be able to accessible to anybody from anywhere in the world. And that's the beauty about in terms of tokenized real estate. It's the ability to build a portfolio of very diverse fractions in properties from anywhere in the world. And as you build that portfolio, it's that's sort of in simplistic, in simple terms, in terms of what is real estate tokenization. In terms of the around the topic today. As I said, people continue to be challenging to enter the property market, especially young people who are starting their journey in employment. And obviously their income is going to be very minimal to start off with. So given the increase in property values, and obviously with the interest rates adding another variable to the mix, it is becoming harder and harder for young people and people in general to be able to continue to or start to build their real estate portfolio in a traditional way. So I guess in terms of tokenized real estate provides a real solution that people can now for under $100 per token, people can now actually start to build a portfolio without having to worry about borrowing money, and they can start to accumulate and have access to the benefits that real estate property brings. In terms of the challenges, and I've got that first pin tweet there, where it's sort of there's probably around. Let's have a look. Starts off with the main tweet post, and then just basically a series of tweets that follow around that topic. So I'll talk to those tweets there. So basically, with tokenized real estate. It does provide a real solution, as I said. But look, in terms of the challenges, in terms of traditional real estate, why tokenize? Why look in terms of getting access to tokenized real estate? So sort of go back to what the challenges are in terms of traditional real estate. And if we have a look in terms of I'll probably start with an example then it sort of talks to the points that we'll go into. And speaking to a friend of mine during the week, and he earns pretty good income. He's in a high level role, and the challenges that he has is that it's just so consumed week to week with his job, high level job, in terms of managing quite a few people, and all the challenges that come from it, is that he finds finds little time and also mental capacity to be able to look in terms of where he can park his excess funds that he gets. So he only needs so much to live, and in terms of where does he park the rest to invest in. And again, it's the finding that time and the mental capacity to do the research and in terms of, and as he said, to find the property that takes time, and I just haven't got the mental capacity to be able to do that, to be able to invest. So these are the challenges in terms of somebody that actually is earning good money, but again, finding the time to invest his money, and obviously, there's professionals out there. There's obviously brokers, in terms of there's buyers agents, and all that comes, but that also requires to find the right people to assist in terms of that journey in terms of real estate. And then, sort of at the other end, you've got young people that are just starting their working life, and this particular person, the young person in terms of that I was talking to during the week, is that they've been saving their money, and so where in terms of they've saved $50,000, and in today's show I'll talk in Australian dollars, just sort of a bit quicker to. But the fundamentals are the same in terms of what I'm trying to explain. He's got he's saved $50,000, and in terms of when you look at it properly, it's you're not going to do much with $50,000 as a term in terms of the deposit. In terms of a property, sort of that lower end of the market, sort of a property these days that's in a good location, and giving it's going to give you that capital growth and so forth, and ticking all those boxes. It's going to cost you around $900,000. So late 800s to early 900s is going to something. That's what it's going to cost. So again, $50,000 not going to go far to be able to buy that property. So that's only like 5% of that property purchase price. So obviously have to borrow a lot of money, and given obviously someone starting out like him. His wages aren't going to be there to be able to service a loan in a traditional real estate property scenario. So again, these are the challenges in terms of whether you're at the starting end of the scale in terms of a young person trying to get in, or you're at the other end scale where you're actually earning great income and trying to find a place to make that money work for you, especially in real estate. So we'll go through some of these points that I wanted to raise. Which sort of those two scenarios sort of speaks to some of these points in terms of that first one. Then in terms of lack of knowledge and experience, somebody's trying to get into real estate and that's not their background. In terms of it can be complex in terms of if you have no prior knowledge and no prior experience in real estate. It's going to be hard to try to navigate in terms of finding the right people who are honest real estate agents, and not to be disrespectful to real estate agents, but in general terms, it's always hard to deal with real estate agents as to whether you're being told the truth or not. So it's a person, regardless you're at the starting scale or at the other scale, at the end of the scale, in terms of it's finding those right people around you to give you the right advice in terms of what is a good property, what isn't, what's the great location, what isn't, and then you look at the financial barriers in terms of second point there. The financial barriers it's whether you're starting out and obviously your income is going to be at the lower end of the scale. Obviously, going to be hard to borrow funds from the bank to borrow a traditional real estate, because obviously look at serviceability. Can you service a loan, and can you provide the 20% as a deposit towards that property? And again, it's challenging for a young person. At the other end, if you're earning good income, serviceability won't be an issue. And look, in a lot of time in terms of providing cash as your 20% to borrow that property, we probably won't be an issue either. So in terms of those financial barriers, that somebody's earning good income it's probably not going. It's probably not going to be a hard situation for that person. In terms of competition, the third point there, competition. That is just talking to the point that the real estate industry is highly competitive with many experienced professionals vying for the same opportunities, and that's right. I mean, at the end of the day, when you go out there in terms of trying to find a property, a lot of time in terms of these from our experiences in terms of finding properties and obviously being involved in the real estate industry in terms of whether it be buying, selling properties from a renovation perspective or building new properties to sell. A lot of the time, the great opportunities and the great properties probably won't make the market in a lot of cases. Some will make the market in terms of where they go to auction because there's a lot of buyers, as we've seen over the last couple of years here in Brisbane and the Gold Coast. But usually, great opportunities in terms of buying, a lot of the time they actually don't make the market because a lot of time the agents will have their network of people, network of investors, and normally those investors that form part of an agent's database, they're sort of provided with the first point of call as to whether there is an interest there, just like us in terms of we're given our contacts in terms of agents. They're always sending us in terms of what's coming up that they've come across. So a lot of the time those don't make the market because there's already buyers interested before they even get listed. Great for agents because they a lot of time they don't have to do much work because basically they found a property somebody wants to sell and there's a willing buyer and a lot of time there's actually no activity as far as trying to list that property because there's already a buyer lined up to be able to buy that property. So again, there is a lot of competition, especially in a market where we're in at the moment, especially here in southeast Queensland, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Sunshine Coast, and given this what's happening in the real estate property market, and I'm sure it's pretty similar in a lot of major cities around the world in terms of the demand and supply and obviously what's been happening with property values. Fourth point there, in terms of market fluctuation, real estate markets can be volatile. It can be difficult to predict when and where the best opportunities will arise. Again, that comes back to experience, comes back to having great people around you that can provide you with the intel. And again, it's one of those things. Traditional real estate, sometimes people are selling at the wrong time because they need the money. They're selling at the lower end of the market, and sometimes people at the other end, in terms of FOMO they think they're going to miss out when markets are bubbling along like they have been over the last couple of years, and people are just paying ridiculous prices for property because they think they're going to miss out on that property. So again, it can go either way. But again, real estate's long term, so you just always have to look at real estate as to it's always going to give you a great return if you hold on to those properties long term. But sometimes people through greed, through FOMO, through unfortunate circumstances, sometimes they buying or selling at the wrong time of the market. So again, it also depends in terms of the type of property too, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial. So again, the additional variables that can also be at different times of the economy in terms of what those particular sectors are doing in those areas. In terms of point 5, legal and regulatory hurdles. A real estate transaction can be subject to a variety of legal and regulation requirements, which can be challenging for someone without legal expertise to navigate. So again, it's you got to know in terms of all those issues that comes to buying a property. So there's so many. We're talking about residential in terms of flood areas, whether property is compliant. As in terms of changes, significant changes being done to it structurally, that they have not been approved in council. So you've got so many issues there. And if you don't have the background, it can actually lead to some real serious issues down the track. I mean, obviously, when you're buying, it's always good to have a good lawyer to making sure that what you're buying, it ticks all the searches and all those things that go with it. Moving on to point 6 there, networking. Real estate is a relationship-driven industry, and building a strong network of contacts can be crucial for success. And that's rightly I sort of touched on earlier. Having the right people around you, whether it be the real estate agents or it be the town planners, engineers, and basically just anything that sort of is directly and indirectly affected in real estate in terms of those different professionals and service providers. They're crucial network to have you. I mean, for us, we've been in it for around 30 years, so that's we've built 30 years worth of contacts in the industry. Again, whether it be agents, our town planners, whether it be the engineers, the architects, designers, interior designers, and and obviously you start talking about lawyers, and so forth and so forth. So a network in terms of when it comes to property investment is critical to have around you. They're just moving on to the 7th point there, time commitment. Real estate can be time-intense industry requiring significant efforts and dedication to achieve a success. And that comes back to the point in terms of the contact of mine who is earning good money, but he's very time poor, hasn't got the mental capacity to be able to sit down and go and do research on properties, and be able to determine whether that's the right investment or not. So again, these are all issues that can affect both ends of the scale. And again, it's in terms of traditional real estate, and I guess this is where, look in the past, obviously, in obviously right now as well. I mean, that's property funds have been sort of the alternative. If you don't want to have direct buying property, you've always in the past you had the ability to go into REITs, property funds to be able to put money down But with that, basically, you haven't got the ability to deal with the people who are making decisions at the forefront around those properties, and you've got different layers, you've got different fees, and all the things that go with it in terms of what we all call middlemen involved in those property funds. So you can get rid of all this in terms of all these challenges in terms of owning real estate property directly, and people have in the past looked at property funds as an alternative to owning indirectly. But again, it's the old thing. What is a good property fund? The ability to deal directly with the people who are making decisions at the forefront. Obviously, fees, quite a substantial amount of fees are lost both going in and coming out if you want to come out. And obviously you got no control in terms of the decisions that are made around those portfolio of properties that make up a property fund. So and again, and this is obviously why we see tokenized real estate as providing a real solution for somebody who's just starting out, a young person who can basically, for as little as under $100, they can start their journey in terms of the benefits that come from real estate. Obviously, that comes through also in terms of ourselves, or in terms of what we're doing here in tokenizing real estate here in Australia, and our colleagues that are doing around the world, the US, Europe, and so forth, where we've come, from my side, and I speak for myself, come through a vast experience in real estate in 30 years, built a large network in terms of people in the industry, and I guess from our perspective, having unlimited access to properties, because of a relationship with build developers that are building luxury homes, and the ability to accessing those properties to be able to tokenize, which from our perspective, we are going to be building our own. It's just at the moment, it's just keeping things simple, because there's in terms of supply chain issues that's still in place, given COVID and post-COVID supply chain, in terms of the demand and supply around materials and obviously labour is we outsource that by actually having the builder developers building those properties and us to be able to pick which ones we want. Which in 3 years' time, once everything settles down, then we have the ability to to go and actually select the properties and engage a builder to build the property so we can tokenize. Look, ourselves and our colleagues. We got the fundamentals the same in terms of tokenized real estate, but obviously the model is going to be different from one to another. But fundamentally, in terms of tokenizing real estate on the blockchain, that doesn't change. In terms of the challenges in terms of traditional real estate, I guess that's sort of covers that in terms of why would somebody look at tokenizing real estate. So I guess if you're listening to this and you're seeing those challenges, and you can see, yes, it is very hard to go and buy properties directly, given all those issues. And do the research. There's plenty of research. There's some on our website. If you can have a look in terms of our properties, we've got the returns and so forth. On our website, have a look at our colleagues that are tokenizing real estate as well, properties in the US and Europe, and have a look at those as well and see what's the solution, what type of properties, and again, given that the ability to access properties for under $100, I guess gives the opportunity to have quite a diverse portfolio of properties around the world, to be able to build on that and be able to make decisions in future, which as to whether you sell some, hold some, just to keep accumulating. So again, it provides the flexibility, obviously more liquidity in terms of what you do with real estate. So that's all the points I wanted to cover today around the topic. Again, thank you for listening. Hope you got some pointers out of that. And again, it's if you wanted more information, just see our tweets, posts, and there's always references in terms of some of the great people also that are providing great content around tokenized real estate. So thank you for listening. Take care. We'll be on the same day next week, so just keep an eye on our tweets in terms of the times. I do also have a BRIK Q&A for our tokenized properties, so we're focusing specifically on our properties. So we do that on a Saturday Australian time, Friday afternoon US time. So you'll see those. That's actually already up on our post, so you can see that. So we'll just on the BRIK Q&A, it's just about our properties here in the Gold Coast and Brisbane and what we're doing. And there's always a particular focus topic around in terms of the Q&A. I think that's it. Thank you all. Have a great day, great evening, great morning, depending on what part of the world you're listening from. Stay safe, and some more next week. Take care. Bye for now.